So, Nando v Movies and a bunch of other notable video essayists threw down the gauntlet this week by teaming up to share memorable scenes from the MCU ahead of Avengers Endgame's release this Thursday. All the videos are great, and you can find a link to the playlist below and at the end of this video. This is my little addition to the celebration that is one marvellous scene. There are many fantastic moments from across the entire MCU. While there are ones that everyone points to as exemplars of awesome, I, like many others, have my personal favourites. This is just a look at one of them. One scene that I keep coming back to again and again as an example of what makes the characters in the MCU so great. The scene is from the Avengers, but is not any of the iconic moments from the Battle of New York, like Banner's secret that he is always angry, and the long take of the Avengers finally working together as a team that brings a tear to my eye every time I watch it. The scene I want to focus on is the moment near the middle of the film, where Black Widow manages to pull a fast one on Loki, the trickster god of mischief, getting the information she needs, not in a fight to death or through physical torture, but through a battle of wits. What I like most about the scene is that it is used as an opportunity to give details on Black Widow's backstory without resorting to giving you an info dump. It drip feeds new information about Black Widow to advance the plot of the film. In short, it uses exposition as ammunition.
Can you wipe out that much red? Dracov's daughter? Sao Paulo? The hospital fire? Barton told me everything.
Weaponized exposition is a concept I was first introduced to in Robert McKee's story. It is an effective method of having your cake and eating it when it comes to providing necessary exposition for your audience. To quote McKee, your characters know their world, their history, each other, and themselves. Let them use what they know as ammunition in their struggle to get what they want. Like many of McKee's principles, it is a simple idea, but one that takes true skill with storytelling to pull off. The Black Widow Loki interrogation scene in the middle of Avengers is a great example of the principle being used well. So, let's break down the scene, highlighting these moments of weaponized exposition and how they alter the balance of power between Black Widow and Loki. The scene starts with both characters trying to exert their dominance. Loki thinks he holds all of the cards and is in full control of the situation. He starts by saying he knew Black Widow would come to talk to him eventually. Natasha, being a spy, has a mission. Find out what Loki is really doing by letting himself get captured. Black Widow's opening move is to ask about what Loki has done to Hawkeye, who is currently under his control thanks to the power within his scepter. This immediately puts Loki on the back foot because he deflects the question. Crucially, we see a subtle head move from Natasha that shows she has noticed Loki raising his defences. In the position of power now, Black Widow steps forward, this time pressing for more information about Hawkeye, while also asking Loki what he is going to do if his plans come to fruition. Once again, Loki deflects the question, but this time back at Natasha directly, as he asks her to explain why she owes Clint such a debt. He intentionally relaxes his posture, retreating to a seated position at the back of his cell. Ever the expert at reading the situation, Natasha responds in kind, sitting down as she begins to explain how Clint was the one who turned her to work with S.H.I.E.L.D. instead of against them. This is our first use of exposition as ammunition. Natasha freely gives up personal information about herself to appear to be trying to earn Loki's trust. She makes herself appear vulnerable, something which Loki immediately seizes upon by asking,
"And what will you do if I vow to spare him?"
He then continues to push Natasha's loyalties. Once again, Natasha assumes the dominant role as she steps forward and says one of the best lines in the whole film.
It's really not that complicated. I got red in my ledger. I'd like to wipe it out.
The line is both Black Widow revealing more about her past, but also issuing a threat to Loki. We don't know the specifics of what the red in her ledger is, but your imagination immediately goes to the darkest places. All we need to know is that Natasha Romanoff has done some very bad things, and she's willing to do them again if it means saving her friend. We enter the midpoint of the scene as it becomes Loki's turn to fire a few rounds from the exposition gun. He reveals he had Hawkeye tell him everything. He knows all about Black Widow's past. As he begins listing her crimes, we see Natasha's stern expression shift into fear. Now, Loki controls the scene. He steps forward as he begins monologuing. We see his reflection in the glass of the cell wall enter Natasha's personal space, showing he is winning the argument. Loki is in full-on menace mode as we cut away to see what the rest of the Avengers are up to, revealing the dark underbelly of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s operations in their own way, as Loki continues to dig into what he thinks Natasha is frightened of, the darkness within herself. The next beat begins with a horror movie-style jump scare of Loki pounding his fist on the glass of his cell. It is here that we truly see how much of a monster Loki is. With one last bit of weaponized exposition, he uses his knowledge of Natasha and Clint's relationship as he goes into excruciating detail on how he will have Natasha tortured to death by her closest friend. Pressed right up against the glass, standing over the smaller frame of Black Widow as he watches her turn away in apparent horror. Loki goes for the kill as he says the most offensive line in the whole of the MCU.
This is my bargain, you mewling quim.
Only getting away with it because it is Shakespearean-esque ye olde English that washes over the heads of children and age ratings boards. This is his power move, to reduce Black Widow down to her gender and say she is lesser than him because of her connection to others. Natasha, now with her back turned, quietly says Loki is a monster. We then see the big evil grin on his face as his arrogance betrays him, revealing his plan.
Oh no. You brought the monster.
Then, reversal. The sinister music that has been building throughout the scene drops as the feeble and frightened Natasha instantly switches back to calm, cool, and calculating Black Widow. Loki's confusion speaks volumes as Natasha relays the information to her allies.
Loki means to unleash the Hulk. Keep Banner in the lab, I'm on my way. Send Thor as well.
Finally, Black Widow ends the scene by leaving Loki in his cell with a grateful
Thank you for your cooperation.
rubbing salt in the wound. The whole scene is recontextualized for the audience as we now see Natasha was in complete control of the situation all along. Using Loki's arrogant nature against him, she gets him to do the classic villain monologue to lower his defences, which gives her the opportunity to finish her mission. There are a few other elements aside from the exposition as ammunition and shifting power balance that make the scene work as well as it does. The main one is all the little moments where Scarlett Johansson injects Natasha, processing Loki's behaviour and acting accordingly. It comes across in the beats before she does things like following Loki's lead and sitting. Then, as the scene progresses, in the quick looks and sudden shifts in her posture and attitude as the plan of attack changes. Things like her pretending to be afraid of Loki become so much clearer upon rewatching the film too, because the only times where she shows genuine fear is when she's dealing with Bruce at the start of the story, encountering the Hulk up close and personal after this scene, and then when she recovers from the aftermath of that encounter. The other thing that sells the scene is that this level of manipulation doesn't come out of nowhere. It is something we've already seen Natasha do. This scene is set up during her introduction in the film as she plays a helpless captor, slowly teasing out information from enemies of S.H.I.E.L.D., only being stopped from completing her mission because she is interrupted by a more pressing one. The scene between Black Widow and Loki works because it plays into the strengths of both characters. Both show their cunning and ability to manipulate others as the power within the room shifts back and forth between them, with Natasha winning because she is able to read people and give them what they think they want, while getting the information she needs instead. Loki, meanwhile, wants to be the smartest person in the room, and for everyone to know it, which is why he always fails. Something the Avengers use against him later in the film, when they work out where he will be staging his invasion from.
He wants flowers, he wants parades, he wants a monument built to the skies with his name plastered. Son of a bitch.
It is no coincidence that this scene kickstarts the midpoint of the film as the team splinters and the helicarrier is attacked on multiple fronts. They only get through it and ultimately forgive each other's actions because they know Loki engineered the situation, all thanks to Natasha's efforts.
I was pretty well removed.
Loki is manipulating you.
And you've been doing what exactly?
You didn't come here because I bat my eyelashes at you.
Yes, and I'm not leaving because suddenly you get a little twitchy.
While it may not be an action-packed moment of spectacle or reveal some big dark secret that shakes the very foundation of the MCU, I love this scene because it is two very intelligent characters bouncing off each other, adding some much needed rich character detail to the protagonist of the scene in the process, giving you exposition that sticks with you long after the film is over. This is why it is one marvellous scene.
Your world in the balance, and you bargained for one man.
Regimes fall every day. I tend not to weep over that. I'm Russian. Or I was.